Hey, Coach.
That's so flattering and hardly true.
No, it's so true. You are the star. Your name's in the show title.
How amazing is that?
It is incredible.
Who would have thought? An editing mistake for sure, no doubt about it.
At this point in the show is when we usually look back on the games you just played since we last met. And it's brought to you by, the highlights and stats are brought to you by Intermountain Healthcare. But since we last had a show, no games were played.
Yes.
So now we have to ask you, what did you guys do for the last week?
Well, we've done a lot, actually. We had a spectacular day today. So as an athletic department, we got to hear from Dr. Derwin Gray, former BYU great, and now pastor of one of the largest, fastest-growing churches in all of South Carolina. And kind of we had actually, as a team, had a Zoom call with him over the summer, kind of trying to verbalize some social justice issues and try and kind of wrap our minds around how we thought and what we thought and how we could communicate, and then to have him here in person with his wife was truly one of the most spectacular people that we've had address our athletic department and our team then later in the day in a long time. And he's got him and his wife have such a magical way of taking ridiculously complicated, partisan, emotion-charged issues and bringing them straight back to the gospel where nothing's dumbed down, but you understand it way more profoundly. And so, I mean, I could go on, but that was just today. It's been like every day is. It's been a great day for us here at BYU basketball.
Yeah, the Grays have been making the rounds on campus today. They'll be around again tomorrow. They'll have an appearance on Sports Nation tomorrow. And, from someone who got to know Dewey a little bit as a player, a great player, went on to play in the NFL, of course, and keep that influence alive for many, many years now has been something truly inspirational to see. So,
I can go on. So one of the things that we did, this week from Thursday post-practice, we had a long practice Thursday, and post-practice we started kind of working on some guys' LinkedIn pages as a team. We did it. And then Saturday, we kind of took a second shot at it, just kind of starting to have our guys jump into post-basketball career stuff, just reaching out to people. And one of the things we talked about was that our guys are doing something truly remarkable right now in their lives by being student athletes and performing the way they are on the court. And many of them are going on to have great professional careers for a long time. And then what we had talked about was how after that's all done, after they set the ball down, hopefully they're actually going to do the best things they've ever done in their life after, when they start their next phase of life. And there's no greater example of that than Dewey, because he did amazing things here at BYU, had a terrific NFL career, and all of that absolutely pales in comparison to the impact he's having on the world right now. It's exactly the dream trajectory you want from every athlete, and so he's a great example for our guys.
What about BYU's on-court basketball development during this last week with no games to play?
Yeah, so we we had, as we talked about last week, we had a therapeutic, long, intense day of practice last Tuesday. And then we took Wednesday off to kind of heal bodies. And then we had a really choice special Thursday, Friday, Saturday where we just got to focus on us completely and try and refine some things and retool some things and refocus some other areas. You rarely get that in the course of a season. And so I felt like our guys did an amazing job with that 3-day kind of stretch working out. And we're in the middle of a good week right now, and obviously 2 huge competitive games coming up on the road.
When we did this show last week, we were still in the in the phase where there were possibilities that may or may not work out for last week or weekend. What can you tell us about what was maybe cooking that didn't quite pan out?
Yeah, it was a blitzkrieg of possibilities that kind of came in and out and in and out and in and out really fast.
Any names that you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how appropriate that is, but we had a top 32 team back east that we thought we had if we could organize a plane quick enough and get there, and then it just went sideways because of all things, a weather issue that actually inhibited their testing protocol. A game that we thought we had, which was going to be a ridiculous turnaround and maybe have. And then we actually had a game with a top 10 team potentially on Saturday, and it just turned out that I probably backed out a little bit because it's just the turnaround was so fast. And I kind of fell into a spot where I'm like, hey, you know what? Everything these guys have been through so far this year, I don't mind this pocket of 3 days. And there were 20 other teams that we had conversations with in the mix. And at the end of the day, there's nothing that worked out exactly right for us in terms of where I felt like where we could make it work, and I felt like it was going to put our team in a positive position. So it was like, we did 20-minute preps for 20 teams over the course of the last 7 days and ended up just focusing on us.
This week, you've got games. And so let's get to Know the Foe, presented by Qualtrics. As we look ahead to the week ahead with BYU at Pacific and then LMU. First up, the Tigers, and what a game this was the first time around. I remember you were just coming off the Pepperdine game. This was your next game after losing the tough one at Pep, and this is what you got on the backside of it.
Yeah, and it's our league, and, we talked about it. Pacific is a really, really talented team. They can space the floor with 5 guys that really shoot the three, especially their 3, 4, and 5 really, really shoot it. And they're tough and really physical. They take on the nature of their coach, Damon Stoudemire, who's a terrific, all-time great out of the University of Arizona, and played for a long time in the pros. And we barely escaped in double overtime. It was a really exciting game, really, really hard-fought game, a game where fatigue started to play a part in the game because it went on. It was so competitive for a long time, and so we get to go run it back at their place. And what they've done recently, they had the Zags on their heels for 30 minutes at their place, and they're a really, really good team, really, really physical team that's capable of really scoring well on the offensive end, and every night they're good on the defensive end. So a great team.
Having played the Zags twice already, as you have, what they did against the Zags in the game you just mentioned, that says something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was really impressive. They really protected the ball. They got shots on every possession. They actually spread the floor. When there was chaos, they actually won those 50-50 balls, especially in the first half, and ended up earning themselves out of some chaos, some easy buckets. And they guarded really physically, and that's what they do. And it's why, they were so successful last year, and that's why they're right on the cusp of being really successful this year. They've had maybe the toughest schedule so far of the games they've been able to play, maybe the toughest schedule so far in our league. So they're a really quality opponent, and they're as good as anybody in this league, minus probably the Zags.
What's the biggest learning point from your first game with them, the double overtime game?
Yeah, so they're really interesting. They are satisfied to play a mid-range game, which very few teams in the country are right now, and so they're really effective that way. I think their physicality maybe took us by surprise just a little bit, was a huge learning point. It's super important, and their defensive acumen every game, you see it on film, but then when you feel it on the floor, they can really frustrate you at times. They can frustrate everybody, including the Zags, for 30 minutes. They can frustrate them, with their defense, the way they approach it. So a bunch of big challenges, a ton of respect for them, and we know we got our work cut out for us.
So from Thursday night in Northern California to a Saturday noon game in SoCal, you take on LMU for the only time you'll see them this year.
Yeah, again, a good team. They actually just beat Pacific in kind of a can't come down to the wire comeback from behind victory. And they probably have maybe the most versatile player in the league for the last 2 years, playing the point forward for them, and he causes problems on all levels. I'm super excited about the game because one of their assistant coaches, my former teammate from Kentucky, Alan Edwards, who just joined the staff, the new staff at LMU, and they're playing great, and again, a really tough game.
Of course, the head coach you see right there is someone that people in the Beehive State remember from his days as a player at Southern Utah, Stan Johnson. And you can see Stan's already got something going there. They've had some really nice wins already this year.
Yeah, they do. They're healthy. It was a little unfortunate for the former staff last year that they lost 3 starters to season-ending injuries. Those guys are back healthy, and I think Stan and the staff have brought some new life and new energy. You'll see they have their bench choreographed to be big-time cheerleaders throughout the entire game, and it's really effective, and they're playing hard and really competing, and they're really, really physical.
How unique a player is Eli Scott?
Oh, he's unbelievable. He's actually shooting it a little bit better this year. He's a really, really physical player. kind of an under-the-rim player, but really physical, works out of the post, like a lot of traditional undersized four-man, but he is maybe the best passer in our league. Not full court in transition, but maybe in the half court. He might be the most talented passer in our league. So he's just so problematic because he's hard to handle one-on-one in the post. But when you send a second defender, it gets really complicated because he can pick you apart. He really has unbelievable vision and touch on his pass and speed, and he can find windows. He's shooting the ball from the three a little bit better this year. He's a real problem. And he's got an unbelievable group complementing him this year. And so they're a good team.
Back-to-back road weekends in any league are always a grind, but you go from the Thursday night to a Saturday early game, so quick turnaround with some travel.
Yep, and it's kind of our league right now. The whole league is a little bit crazy. Everybody's finally, all these California teams are finally able to play, hopefully, and so it's a free-for-all right now.
Okay, today the West Coast Conference announced a new metric to use for seeding in the conference tournament in a couple of weeks, given the difference in number of games played and strength of schedule across the league, top to bottom. So the metric developed by Ken Pomeroy in association with the league is called Adjusted Winning Percentage, AWP. And here are the standings based on AWP today. And there will be a few more updates before the finals come out on the 28th. And you'll see the true record is on the right side. And you can see how Coach Pope, a team with a 2-4 record, St. Mary's, has a top 4 seeding right now based on that weighting.
Yeah, it's interesting. Everyone is kind of flying by the seat of their pants trying to figure things out. I think it's a little bit of a complicated notion. Instead of taking any of the metrics that we've had all season that all of us are shooting for, that the league is just going to create a metric, 2 weeks before the tournament. But, I think everyone's trying to do the best they can. And I think there's a lot of teams that look at that list and they're like, I don't understand what's going on. And we've never heard this before. And why are we getting this metric now after the season's been, mostly fulfilled? But Danny Gavitt said it better than anybody else. He's the vice president of the NCAA, and he's over men's basketball. And he said before the season, talking about the NCAA tournament, he said, listen, it's not going to be fair. There's just no way to make it fair. So we're just going to do the best we can, and the most important thing is that we actually play games. And so as long as you kind of keep yourself there, you can kind of reduce some of the frustration I know all the teams in the league might be feeling, but that's just the truth. At least we're playing games. We're so grateful to be playing games, and that's what's important.
It's all Al Davis right now for BYU. Just win, baby.
Yep,
I mean, if you win, you'll take care of business. But what it is hard kind of to see is you can project and speculate, but you really don't know what a win is going to mean with the new metric. In the past, you could tell, we had this record, they had that record, very simple. Right now, a little bit of guesswork involved.
And that's a little complicated. And furthermore, the algorithm's never going to be really explained. And so that's complicated also in the sense of, you're right, you hope it's win out and you're fine, but you don't know if it's win out. You could win out and end up being the 5 seed in the WCC tournament. So I think that's got everybody really unsettled because kind of like we need to pull back the curtains on the league and find out exactly what's going on. But, I do appreciate that people are doing the best they can.
We're doing this show on a Tuesday night, and Tuesday nights are in play, by the way, in league right now. In fact, at the top of the hour, LMU, the team you're playing Saturday, will be playing a game at Santa Clara. They've got a 3-game week as we head down the stretch. All right, more about the WCC tournament. John Canzano, who's a sportscaster and columnist in Portland, Oregon, tweeted today, his words, Gonzaga and BYU are weighing whether they should opt out of the West Coast Conference basketball tournament, and he goes on to explain some of the rationale. Coach, your feelings about being in that group with Gonzaga among teams that are actually making this consideration right now, or said to be?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, I think, I'm not going to speak for the Zags or anybody else. I do think that around the country you're having a lot of teams that are trying to, and they should be considering. A lot of teams are considering trying to find the best path, and they should be considering because this is unprecedented time. So these times don't actually require us to do the status quo. Might not be the best answer in unprecedented times in a place we've never been before. And I'll just speak as a fan of the Zags, for example. You think this is a team that is clearly by every metric proven to be not, if not far and away the best team in the country, one of 2 teams in the country that have totally separated themselves from everybody else, just by every metric that we've ever used before and every evaluation that we can make on the season. And so like I understand the thought of, we're going to have to do a 7-day, the idea right now from the NCAA is we're going to do a 7-day testing period to qualify to actually go to the NCAA tournament. And from the Zags' perspective, they have one goal in mind right now. And they should. They deserve to have one goal in mind. And that's to win an NCAA championship. And so there's that weighing of like, what could actually get in the way of us having a real shot to do that right now? And I think it's legitimate for that to be considered. What the final answer is or outcome is, I don't know what's right. We'll see what's right. I'm sure we have smart people dealing with it that'll figure out what's right. But certainly you understand the question for sure. And these are questions that we need to consider.
Right now, is your intent to take your team to Vegas for the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, listen. My intent right now is to go play on Thursday, although we've been this close to several games where we've actually flown out and the game hasn't happened. So that's the point of intent right now. We're kind of taking this minute by minute, and that's why it's a little bit silly for anybody to imagine they can set anything in stone right now. The teams that are stuck, like being stuck that way, I think have been less successful. It was important to us to have a big-time practice today. Our guys are studying and getting some great rest tonight, and then hopefully we roll into the gym and get to work out tomorrow. And that's kind of how you take this season right now.
Absolutely. All right, let's go inside the numbers presented by Mountain America Credit Union. BYU's resume now is the numbers check for this week, and we're taking a look at where the Cougars were last week compared to this week, and not a ton of movement, a little bit positive, a little bit minus one spot or two. Essentially, Coach, in that same vicinity, a solid tournament team right now. Everybody's got you in. Barring something, borderline catastrophic from a basketball sense, you win a couple games this week, you're going to be in even better shape. It's
really fantastic, isn't it? Because as we watch these go throughout the course of the season, we've had this wide variation in all the metrics of our numbers. Anywhere
coming together now,
from like the high 60s to the low 20s, right? And now to have all of those consolidated within 6 points of each other, all 5 of them, is actually comforting. Right, it's actually comforting. I hope that a lot of teams are seeing the same picture, where they're seeing kind of this coalescing of their team evaluation, so that all the things fit together and it kind of makes sense, right? And so I like that. I appreciate that. Yeah, BYU's last NCAA tournament team, you were a part of that team. Do you know what a tournament team is? Yep. Does this year's team kind of fit the bill for you? Yeah, absolutely. We have a chance. We absolutely have a chance. We have some things that are hard to quantify. We have depth. We have length, especially in the backcourt. We have the ability to rebound the ball, and we have the ability to guard. We're a top 35 defensive team right now. And so those things, I think, are the hallmark of teams that actually have a chance to not just get in the tournament to advance. Now, all that's fine. We have to keep proving it. The most important thing is that we keep proving it, but certainly the ingredients are there to possibly make this happen. All right, great first segment. For your day-to-day Cougar Sports play-by-play, watch BYU Sports Nation with Spencer Linton and Jerem Jordan weekdays, noon Eastern, on BYUtv and BYU Radio. And yes, indeed, Dr. Derwin Gray will join the program tomorrow. Later in tonight's show, a brand new Deep Blue with assistant coach Cody Fueger. And we'll talk live with assistant coach Chris Burgess as well. This is BYU Basketball with Mark Pope.
BYU Basketball with Mark Pope is brought to you by Siegfried & Jensen, helping Utah families for over 30 years. Intermountain Healthcare, always here for you. Mountain America Credit Union, guiding you forward. Smith's, fresh for everyone. And by Deseret News.
Cougar fans! I'm so excited right now. I'm not supposed to say it, but this is my first time reading off the teleprompter. So just stay tuned. Get ready for BYU Hoops in March with a chance to win one of 5 BYU basketball fan packs that include an autographed basketball, Roku official team shirt, poster, a pool party at the Pope House, maybe depending on who wins it, and more. Go to BYUSN.com for details. The giveaway runs through February 24th. BYU broadcasting employees and relatives are ineligible. Oh!
Wow. Welcome back to BYU Basketball with Mark Pope, presented by Siegfried and Jensen. Should I just walk the iPad over to you, let you take the rest of the show at this point?
First of all, so I never paid attention to the name of the show until you just made that comment. We should do something like BYU Basketball with Pope and Rubes.
I'm not opposed to that.
Doesn't that sound good?
Jarom, let's get graphics just working on that, see what comes out, just mock up something maybe. Okay.
Well, we can do like if I shave my head all the way down, it would be BYU Basketball with two bald guys.
Two beautiful bald heads. Here's your broadcast schedule this week, by the way. Both games on BYU Radio. I'll be doing those. And they'll be on CBS Sports Network for the television. Some people like to sync up, turn down the TV, listen to the radio. I get it. All right, there are the games. At Pacific, Thursday 8 Eastern, and LMU Saturday 3 Eastern. Two big road games for BYU in the WCC. Well, the BYU basketball program is indeed on pace for a return to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2015. On the coaching staff that season were two members of the current staff, Coach Pope, of course, and Cody Fueger. Coach Pope's return to Provo meant Coach Fueger coming back to BYU too. And in tonight's Deep Blue, we follow a coaching journey that has become a true family affair, presented by America First Credit Union.
I was the guy that's done every single job that there has been. I've done tickets, I've done travel, I've done every single part of college basketball. And then I've just kind of built myself up from there.
You know, he worked under Rick Majerus, and anybody that knows Coach Majerus knows how demanding that position is. And he did it as a manager.
From the first day I met him, you could see how hard of a worker he was to become a coach.
Of all the qualities that Cody has, his integrity is beyond reproach.
He's all in. That guy puts his heart and soul into coaching and making the team just a better program.
He cares about the players. If you ask any of the players on the team, they know how much that he loves them and cares for them and spends time for them. He can get on them, he can joke with them, he can challenge them, he can push them, and they trust him and they like being around him.
I can tell he actually cares about you as a person, and he'll sit down and just talk to you. I mean, it won't even be about basketball sometimes. He just wants to see how you're doing, and stuff like that really just shows that, okay, it's bigger than basketball. I mean, they don't really care about me just because I can help them win games. Like, they care about me as a person, and Coach Fueger is a perfect example of that.
He knows what each guy needs, and he is able to get that out of each of those players. He's able to know what to do in order for that player to respond and execute the way that he believes that player can play.
You know, I told her my goal was to be a college coach at the end of the day, and, you know, that we'd be traveling a ton, and it would be hard on family sometimes just with how much I'd be gone. And
I'm going to break here and say that, no, he did not warn me of any of these things. I was very new to the sports world, and I had no idea what I was getting into. I did know a little bit because he was gone all the time, but I really enjoyed spending time with him, and I got to hear about his passion, and he had such a passion for basketball right from the get-go, and a passion for all the players and the coaches and the things he was learning, and he made really good friendships and relationships right away. So it was really fun to see.
Whenever you talk about Coach Fueger, you got to start with his wife, Danielle, who is so extraordinary and really keeps him in check. Cody walks through the halls of the Marriott Center and the Annex and has all this respect from everybody. But I think he goes home and Danielle puts him in his place, which is really a gift. And then his children, Izzy and Drew and Anna, his newborn, they spend a lot of time in and out of the office, and they're fantastic. And the way that his family has been a part of this program is really exciting.
Anna was supposed to be born in early November. I was taking a recruiting trip. Thought no big deal of it. We were going to be back because usually every time she's had a baby, it's been normally like right around the date or right after. The recruiting trip was October 23rd, and left early in the morning. I turn on my phone, and then I get a text from Danielle saying, hey, just a heads up, I'm going to the hospital right now. Obviously, my panic starts to set in.
It was all happening in the middle of the night, and I have the two other kids at home, so I was lucky that I have a friend who lived close by who was willing to come help.
And then I get on my second flight from New York to Salt Lake, and I'm just, hoping the whole time everything's fine and nothing's going to happen until I got there. I was about 30 minutes after Anna was born, and so Danielle was great with it. To me, I'm sure she has other insight for you, but she's a trooper. She's tough as nails.
It's all very unknown territory for me. So I want him to be happy, and I want him to reach his goals, and I'll help him however I can to get there.
My goal is to be a head coach in college, going to camps as a young kid, and then, starting out with Coach Majerus at Utah. The wins or losses or the relationships with players, competition, being with the team, all that stuff, it's something that, I really look forward to, and I love the game of basketball.
He looks like a college student. He's already been working at so many different colleges. He's had quite the career already.
Yeah, he has paid his dues in every possible way and been successful everywhere he's gone. He's a special talent, special human being. How great is it to kind of get? We live in this world, so you and I know this, but just to kind of get the tiniest sense of how you have to function as a family to kind of manage some of the challenges you face in the athletics profession, and he is. I'm telling you, he's born to do this, and he's made such a massive impact on BYU basketball as an operations director and now as an assistant coach, and everything that was on there is just, it's exactly who he is. You think about what a tremendous contribution Jake Toolson made to this university, and Jake came here because of Cody. And I took a head job because of Cody. And Alex Barcelo is flourishing because of Cody, and Brandon Averett, and go down the list. And it's awesome to see these young guys just kind of move up the ladder and take every responsibility and just crush it. And then there's so much gratitude, as you can imagine, from Leanne and I, because they're the ones that make us successful. Cody is making us successful. He's been doing it for a long time. So he will be a head coach soon, and he's going to he's gonna just crush it. And he, in the meantime, while he's here, we can sure be grateful to have him and his whole family.
Yes, where's the fine line there? Because he wants to be a head coach. You want him to be a head coach, but you want him to be a part of this as well for how important he is. Yeah. So the balance between getting into that next step and keeping a really important piece of the puzzle here in place.
Yeah, but there's no balance. The reason Cody is going to become a great head coach is because he's every ounce of his effort. I have to bring it up to him, right? He is so dialed into this team and doing his job the best he possibly can that I almost have to bring things up to him, be like, hey, listen, I know it's deep in his passion, but when I talked about his integrity and his loyalty, it's pure, right? And so he is 100% committed here. And the day, if it's tomorrow that he gets his chance to be a head coach, there's going to be zero complicated feelings. I'm going to be so happy for him, and I'm going to be so proud, probably unfairly, and I'm going to be so terrified because I'm going to have to play him, and that's going to be really, really hard because he's going to put together a great program.
Well, it's great to see what you know what lies ahead for him. Yes. Great things are ahead for him. But yes. In the meantime, I hope he stays here as long as he's happy.
Yep. Let's enjoy him while we have him. That's just the truth. We're so blessed to have him here at BYU, and if we get him for another day, we're really, really blessed. And then when he moves on, he's always gonna have this BYU blue in his blood. This place has been really special to him and his family, and he's been really special to us.
Packer green, BYU blue. That's the way it goes. A little Wolverine green too in there, so. Maybe some Utah red. All right, the 9th-ranked gymnastics team welcoming Boise State and Air Force to the Smith Fieldhouse Friday. That's 9 Eastern on BYUtv. After this break, your questions for the coach from social media, and Chris Burgess will join the show. This is BYU Basketball with Mark Pope.
Basketball with Mark Pope is brought to you by Siegfried and Jensen, helping Utah families for over 30 years. America First Credit Union, we're here to help. The BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. Zions Bank, we haven't forgotten who keeps us in business. And by Qualtrics.
Programming note, double machine. Lauren Gustin and the women's basketball team have a big game with number 16 Gonzaga Thursday night, 8 Eastern on the BYUtv app. Then Saturday, Cougs hosting Portland on BYUtv at 4 Eastern. Time now to check in on our Cougars in the pros, presented by Deseret News. Brandon Davies near a double-double in the Copa del Rey out in Barcelona. TJ Haas, his pro high of 21 points with 6 rebounds playing for his team in Poland. Eric Mika, 11 points for his team in Serbia. Yoli Childs, again, a balanced score sheet for the Erie Bayhawks in the G League. Jake Toulson sadly suffering a season-ending right foot injury. He was playing for the Salt Lake City Stars, waived by the Stars on Sunday, Coach.
Yeah, it's just so brutal. I mean, this game can be unforgiving sometimes, and it gives you setbacks. And then the one thing we know about Jake is he is the master of overcoming setbacks. And so, he's going to have a long, successful, exciting professional career. But this one's a tough hit. So
what do you know about the injury, how bad it's going to be?
It's just a stress fracture in his foot, and so we're hoping that it'll be really quick. We're hoping it'll be quick, and I mean, it's not going to be anything that has any long-term consequence to his basketball career at all, but just to miss, he's been waiting so long to get these 3 weeks in the bubble, and then to be gone the first game, I know is devastating for him, but like I said, he is an inspiration to all of us in terms about how to deal with adversity, and he's done it over and over, and so he's a vet, like he knows how to do it, and he will this time too. And then, did you mention that Brandon Davies won a championship?
Did they actually take the Copa del Rey?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly, but I just saw a bunch of social media posts with him winning a championship.
It had to be the Copa del Rey then, yeah.
I would hope so.
Separate
otherwise,
competition,
Brandon's just making it up.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case.
And it's awesome to watch these guys because what they're doing is not easy either. Like, it's so hard. TJ Haas has a career high, and I know that a couple weeks ago there was some shakiness with like, man, is this working? Is this fitting out? And like these guys do, man, they just respond in beautiful fashion. So congratulations to all those guys for their success.
All right, Cougar Q&A now, presented by Zions Bank. We haven't forgotten who keeps us in business, and tonight we are on cam with Cameron Pearson.
Like, the first thing I heard about Cam was that he's genius.
He is a genius on and off the floor.
Cam Pearson's the smartest dude on the team.
He's probably the smartest guy I've ever met.
He's a genius.
Cam is one of the smartest dude, both on and off the floor.
He's the smartest guy on the team.
He's wicked smart. I think he's doing like 7 majors or something.
Probably the smartest kid on our team. The dude is in the finance program here at BYU, and I think he's still rolling with straight A's.
He just is all about the right things. I mean, he works so hard.
One of the most down-to-earth guys I've met.
Never, ever heard Cam Pearson complain about anything.
He knows what he needs to get done, and he gets it done. He doesn't procrastinate.
Knows who he is and doesn't compromise that for anyone or any circumstance.
Cam's probably the best walk-on that I've ever played with. Out there during practice, we have our gold squad, which is our scout team, which most of the time is our walk-ons and a couple of our GAs. And Cam just consistently gets buckets.
Cameron's one of the unsung heroes of our team. He works really hard every single day. He almost gets no love, no acknowledgement, but I love how hard he works and how hard he contributes to the team.
The hardest walk-on I've seen in my college experiences.
He gets knocked down, he gets right back up. He doesn't complain, he just works super hard.
He pushes me to be better. He inspires me, honestly, because he just works so hard.
So what does the coach have to say about Cam?
Well, first of all, I mean, how you think about that, that's like the respect he's garnered from his teammates is really remarkable. And that's just a tribute to how special he is. He's unbelievable on the court. He's never missed a rep, ever. He challenges our guys in every single way. And I'm not saying this lightly, Greg, because you're at practices and you feel this. There's no chance we have the success we had last year or the success we're having this year without Cam. There's no chance. People might shake their heads that don't understand, but I'm telling you, there's no chance that we have the success we've had without his contribution to this team. And he is the smartest dude maybe I've ever met. If I told you this, so I walked into the study hall room one time. We have a lounge off of the offices, and I walked in there, and Cam is listening. Did I tell you this? Cam's listening to a recorded lecture, and he's listening to it at
1.5 speed.
1.5 speed. So he's listening to it faster than normal. It's his organic chemistry lecture. I took OChem. Like, I was going at like 0.2 speed and rewinding it over and over again. He's like working on his finance and just listening to his OChem lecture with one ear and taking it in at double time speed. He's amazing.
As one of the guys said, he's wicked smart.
Wicked.
Yeah. All right. From Cougar Q&A to social media Q&A for Coach Pope, now presented by Smith's Fresh for Everyone. First question coming our way is about your thoughts or BYU's thoughts on adding games during this crazy COVID season. He said, we kind of alluded to it earlier, but you had chances to play some teams during these last days off. What happened with the chances? We kind of hit it. They just didn't come together, right?
Yeah, and I do think it's just we're in this weird pocket right now where we're 2.5 weeks from Selection Sunday. And so I think our guys have earned the right for us to be smart about it, right? And that's complicated because, as we saw today, we don't even know the metrics we're being judged by right now. And so, we're excited to play and find the right games and figure it out. And
okay, specifics then. Question 2. Is BYU willing to set up a date with San Francisco next Monday or Tuesday? I'd say Monday's out of the mix because you don't practice Sunday and you're on the road Saturday. So let's say next Tuesday. You've got an open date next Tuesday. USF would be open next Tuesday. You have a date with USF that you didn't get in. What are the chances of that game or any other game next week?
I think there's a chance. I know the league is working on postulating some things. We'll see. I mean, I think for me, my biggest concern right now is like what is going to be the best avenue for us to actually be in the NCAA tournament and be there in a seed that is positive for us. Right now, we're projected as an 8 seed. It's not easy to find games that are actually going to help us move up. That's the challenge, right? And there's a lot of there's going to be, maybe, who knows what'll happen, but there may be several games we can play, but it's just right now, we're so close. I think it's a matter of like what's going to help our team function right, what's going to help us metric-wise, what's going to help us health-wise, and I think all those things are the biggest considerations.
You've got 3 games, but beyond that, we don't know much else because, like you said, nothing's set in stone at this point.
Yeah, even the WCC tournament is like everything's a moving target. And like I said, we've been in the situation on Tuesdays having the show so many times where we're talking about a Thursday game, and then it comes Thursday morning, and then the game gets shut down. So it's just, it's a work in progress. We're kind of recalculating everything every single day. I actually have my GAs giving me a full update on our conference, everybody's league standings, everyone's next games and the games they played and the potential total games, as well as other leagues in the country. We're reviewing it every single day and just trying to figure it out.
Okay. Promo time. On the latest BYU Sports Nation right now, a President's Day celebration of Valentine's cards and fastest times in the world involving BYU. Watch on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Coming up next, assistant coach Chris Burgess joins the show, and we ask the weekly question again. What happened? This is BYU basketball with Mark Pope. All-American Davide Gardini and the BYU men's volleyball team ranked number 1 and hosting number 10, Grand Canyon, Thursday on the BYUtv app and Saturday on BYUtv. Welcome back to BYU basketball with Mark Pope, presented by Siegfried and Jensen. Well, BYU is this season one of the best two-point field goal percentage teams in the country, which puts the Cougs squarely in our next guest's wheelhouse as we welcome in live assistant coach Chris Burgess joining us here tonight. Coach Burgess, come in, please. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Doing very well. It looks like he's over in the annex, right in the main lobby area.
Burge, we got to turn off the basketball lights, man. We can't see your beautiful face. They're just a logo behind you.
He's well backlit. There you go.
Better.
There you go. Coach Burgess, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. First up, let's get right to this. The staff evolution in year 2. Does year 2 feel any different as a group together than the rookie season?
Great question. So I've obviously been working with Coach Fueger, Coach Bobby, and Coach Pope 6 year now, and then adding Coach Robinson. Working with him now a year and a half. I feel like we're about the same as last year. We're just growing as a staff. We're understanding each other more and more. I think we've added 2 new GAs. Keegan's been with another year, but I would say the evolution is growing as we're getting better, and we're learning each other every single day, even though we've been around each other anywhere from 2 to 6 years.
How about Coach Pope from year 1 to year 6 as a colleague?
great boss to work with. He's always trying to push us, right, as assistants. He's always trying to make us better and put things on our desk that's going to make us feel overwhelmed. So we're always trying to get better so that we can, grow as a team. This off season, especially during COVID, he really challenged us to kind of come up with new ideas on offense side of the ball and the defense side of the ball. So it was a great challenge, and we studied a lot of different teams that are great. Let's just say, for example, Texas Tech, right? They're really good defensively, and they force sideline, baseline all game long. And so we did a deep dive and a study into them as assistants, and then we came back and kind of presented it to coach. And this year we've actually implemented some of the stuff that they do as far as to keep the ball on the sideline as much as you can, keep the ball out of the middle. And so that was a way we tried to grow this offseason with the personnel we knew we had coming in.
We're going to throw up the Coach Pope versus Coach Burgess side by side here. Mark, we'll have you weigh in on this one. Back in the heyday, college prime days, who's winning this particular one-on-one battle, do you think, between these two dominant bigs?
Yeah, it's not even close. I mean, Coach Burgess was the number one recruited athlete out of all of high school basketball. I was just a schmuck down the street.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Obviously, we didn't really pass the ball very much. We were looking for ourselves and just 1.8 assists, but we knew when we got in the game, we knew our jobs, and it looks like we had a similar production out there. But the main thing I think is Coach Pope's probably going to win. So he's got a national championship, and I got a runner-up.
Well, no, there's one reason I'm going to win, and that's because Burge knows this. So, on rare occasion, I get myself in trouble in practice, and so I actually have to run. I have to run sprints. And so on one given day, I had to run a sprint, and one of my assistants has got himself in trouble, and so we both had to run a sprint together. And clearly, in a million years, there's no way I can win the sprint. But that particular assistant, which was not Coach Burgess, because Coach Burgess never gets himself in trouble, that particular assistant just kind of came up with a hammy at the end of the sprint so I could win and so that he could retain his job. It was magical.
Yeah. What are the kind of things, Coach Burgess, what are the kind of things that might get Coach Pope in trouble in practice?
I don't know.
Celtic rules, Celtic rules, baby.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know. You'll have to ask Coach.
So you know how Coach Burgess kind of started through when you asked about what about Coach Pope's progression? Yeah. And so that's the thing with year 2 of the program, because all the assistants are at the point now where they're like, if we could just get this dude out of the way, we would function so much better. It actually happens on every successful staff. That's the way it happens. And the other frustration that coaches have is they do all this legwork during the summer, and then Coach Burgess knows this intimately. Like, I'm pretty resistant to wholesale change, and so these guys have to come in and fight every single day to kind of make changes. And Burge has been unbelievable. One of the things that he gifts me with as a head coach is, these guys do all this legwork on scouts, on our personnel development, on our offensive and defensive schemes, on our recruiting. And it's really a gift to have a coach like Coach Burgess that's so competent that he'll stand his ground when we have a conversation. When I start asking him questions and challenging him, he'll be like, no, Coach, trust me, this is exactly the way we need to go with this. And I know he's thoroughly done his homework and done deep dives, and most often it turns out to be the right answer, and that's a real gift. It's one of the many contributions he makes to the staff.
Coach Burgess, maybe 20 quick seconds on the development of the bigs that BYU's seen this year.
Well, I knew we were getting to this coming season with Richard Harward, Matt Harms, Scobie Lee, Caleb Lohner. So I think they've done a good job of ducking in, sealing their guy, attacking the glass on both sides of the floor, being patient in the post, trusting the pass out. It's been fun watching their development. We recruited Matt Harms, showing him his numbers at Purdue. And if you look at his numbers right now from an analytical standpoint, everything we kind of talked about him, whether ball screen roll, in the post, they've all gone up. There's still games to be played. So that, it makes you feel good as a coach that you're backing up what you recruited him, right? With the things you told him on his recruiting visit, how it will help his game. Been super proud of those guys just with their physicality and their ruggedness, game to game. And they love playing. Like, even though, Matt and Richard kind of sub for each other, they're each other's biggest fans. right? They're coaching it up. I had Richard in my office today talking about, I need you to lift Matt today in practice. I want you to focus on lifting Matt today to be more physical, right? To demand the ball in the post, right? If you see something, say something to him, right? We need you to lift him up. And that's what you get with older veteran guys where, Richard's coming off the bench for him, but he's Matt's biggest fan, right? And I can say the same for Matt picking up Caleb every day, and the same for Big Kolb, right? And so I'm very blessed to be able to have such a unique group, big group, and they sometimes, most of the time, make me look better than I am. But I love coaching them. I love the energy they bring every single day, and they have a ton of room to grow as well.
Coach Burgess, thank you so much for the contributions tonight on this show and with the staff, and we'll see you in Stockton.
Absolutely. We'll see you, Rubes.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Chris Burgess. Number 12, BYU women's volleyball versus LMU going on right now in the Smith Fieldhouse on the BYUtv. On BYUtv, the two play again tomorrow on BYUtv at 9 Eastern as well. As we go to break, here's this week's trivia question presented by the BYU Store. Who's BYU's career field goal percentage leader? The answer next. Trivia time, who's BYU's career field goal percentage leader. He got to have made a lot of shots. These are big-time players. Alan Taylor from back in the day, almost 58% for his career. All right, we've reached the end of the show, which means it's time to ask those always ever popular 2 words in a question with a question mark at the end. Coach Pope, those words are?
What happened?
All right, so we can't really look at a lot of games for BYU last week, so we're going elsewhere. It was Valentine's weekend. These are the BYU Valentines that were created, all piggybacking off of Cougar Hoopsters' names. I love it. Harm's Way, Fredette about it. Excellent. High-quality content right there. How about this? With the Gideon George Deep Blue feature, 80,000-plus views on social media.
Yep.
Never had a story like this.
You think about the impact that these young men can have representing BYU, Gideon George being one of many. It's just as extraordinary. I mean, national media now has jumped on this story, first of all, because these Deep Blues are so spectacular at actually telling the story, and Gideon George is an incredible human being.
Okay, last week on this show, you asked a question. Let's see if we can roll the videotape. Coach Pope was curious during our Connor Harding interview about something.
Hey, next time we have you on the show, Jaron, can we have some football highlights? Connor's the quarterback. I've never seen the highlights. We got to run that out, man. Let's go.
And let's go. We got highlights from Highland High School. Connor Harding chucking the rock.
Look at that touch. That is so fantastic.
So Connor can clearly throw it, and it shows up at times on the basketball floor as well, right?
Yes, this is a huge play. It was a big play. Unbelievable pass, unbelievable reception.
Julian Edelman.
Questionable play call. Otherwise fantastic.
So there it is, from gridiron to hardwoods. And earlier in this show, you asked a question about your show graphic, which is a great graphic. BYU basketball with Mark Pope. You are the star. It is your show. I'm just a conduit. And yet you said, let's do look at this. This happened during the show.
First of all, how good is Jerem Jordan and the whole staff?
Amazing.
I love trying to throw challenges away. They never fail. And I kind of like it. It's got some juice.
Well, it's going to be with us for at least a minute on the show. I mean, I'm not sure if it's back next week, but it worked for tonight. So, ask and you shall receive, my friend.
I love it. Hey,
that's the way it goes. All right, great show. We'll talk to you next Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern. For Chris Burgess and for the head coach, Mark Pope, I'm Rubes. I'm Greg Wrubell. This has been BYU Basketball with Mark Pope. Let's go Cougs at Pacific and LMU. We'll talk to you next week. Have a great week.
Hi, I'm Ned Siegfried. It's great to see the Cougars back in action. We all know that basketball is a team sport, and no matter how talented a single player may be, he will not be successful unless he's surrounded by a strong team. The same is true if you've been injured in an accident. Trying to go up against the insurance company's team of adjusters and attorneys on your own will not likely result in a win. At Siegfried & Jensen, we can provide the teamwork you need on your case. Contact us at